This is Hannibal here from thehannibaltv.com with Enhancement legend of the WWE, Mario Mancini, who had the first match of many top superstars, as a lot of you people out there know by now. And he has his own professional wrestling company as well, which I'm sure we're going to talk about today, that he runs with Paul Roma and some other wrestlers in the Connecticut area. So, how are you doing today, sir?
Good, brother. Thank you so much for having me on again. Today is an anniversary. Today, March 16th, 1985, was King Kong Bundy's debut in the WWF, and I was his first victim.
And that, of course, led into WrestleMania 2. So, that was an important job.
Yeah, so that today's an anniversary, and I miss him dearly. Chris was a great guy, just a fantastic guy. What would give me such a hard time. I mean, he would razz me and poke at me, and he just gave me such a hard time all the time. But it was all in fun, It was all in fun.
What did he actually die of? Because I was going to use him up here in Canada for Great North Wrestling a few times before his death. And I think he was saying he had some foot issues, and then those ended up getting worse over the years. But
I
it
don't.
seemed like his health was bad for a while.
Yeah, I really don't know. I think I did see it once. I don't know if it was a heart attack or it was kidney failure. I'm not sure what it was, but I know I was supposed to see him in 3 months at a wrestling convention, and I was really looking forward to it. And then I heard that he passed away, and it just crushed me. Admittedly, there's not a lot of that would crush me, you know what I mean? Because of obviously the quality of the relationships that I had. So if like anything like Bundy, Strongbow, when that happened to Owen, I was upset. But if anything happened to like Tito or Valentine or Atlas, guys like Beefcake, guys like that, I mean, that's very devastating to me. You know what I mean? It really is. But without question, Roma, that goes without saying. Roma's in a different category completely. So yeah, it was upsetting, but today is the anniversary.
And it's also March 16th, 316. So someone on here already commented Austin 316 Day, as some people say. Were you a fan of his at all?
You know what? I Roma knows Steve. Roma's got a really, really funny story with Steve Austin. Um, and he did Steve Austin's podcast. Uh, I don't know him personally. At a wrestler's point of view, not a fan's point of view, I enjoy watching how much control a wrestler has over the crowd. Um, you know, I because that means it's really working, right? So when I hear that glass shatter, you know, it's like almost over more than Hogan. And of course, you always enjoy a guy. You always enjoy a guy that's good on the mic. You always do. You know what I mean? And he was, and he's another guy I wish I knew, because he's a really funny guy. He is a hilarious guy. I'll share the story with Roma. So Steve Austin and Roma were eating in a restaurant, and they ordered their food, and Roma ordered a steak. And he looked at Steve, and Steve had his head down eating, and he said, Roma said, "Hey, you want some steak?" And Steve said, "Thanks, man. No, I'm okay." He goes, "If I wanted some, I would just take it right off your plate." And Roma kind of just froze, and he started cutting the steak really slow, and he started thinking, and his face started to get beet red. And Roma said to himself, "Well, he leaves me no choice. I'm going to have to fight this guy. Nobody talks to me like that. You're going to take the food right off my plate? You're not doing that. Tell me if you want some, you'll just take it. That's not happening. And Roma's getting, Steve can see that he's sitting here, he's getting all gassed up. And Steve looked at him and said, "Hey, man, I'm only ribbing with you, you know?" And Rome was like, "Ah, man, you did that to me." You know, he goes, "I was getting, I thought I was going to have to fight you." And so,
Yeah, he seems easily agitated. Someone's asking how my dog's doing. She's doing great.
oh, thank God.
There's Mario Piper. Speaking
Hey,
of Piper, she's named after Roddy Piper. Do you
hey,
have any?
Piper.
Do you have any stories about Roddy Piper?
You know, he was really quiet in the dressing room. He was really soft talker. I wanted to get close to him. Lord knows why I didn't work with him. Listen. I'm always honest on the podcast, and I don't care. I don't. Again, I don't think of myself as anything significant. You know what I mean? But I wish I had that Frank Williams spot. I would have loved to have it. I would have let Piper kick the living, and I think that was the very first guest he ever had. And I would have let him kick the living daylights out of me like that. I wish it were me. You know what I mean? The only interaction I ever had with Piper was the war to settle the score. When I was there in my leisure suit, when the melee started, that happened in the end. If you look at the video, war to settle the score, it's me holding back Piper. With that same leisure suit I had on to do Tuesday Night Titans. So, you know, and general conversations with them in the dressing room, but I never got to go on a road with them or room with them or anything like that. I would have really loved to really get to know him better. You know, he's just a great guy. He really was. But you know what? You guys have to remember something. Back when I was in, there was no unison. Don't get me wrong, there was brotherhood and camaraderie, but there was a clique. You know, there was a clique. It's like, you know, like Piper and Adonis were like brothers. They're like best friends. You know, so everybody stuck to who they knew before they came to New York. You know, the relationships that were established prior to coming to the WWF, they still, you know, you could see those. So there were cliques, you know what I mean? Certain guys just stuck together and were closer to other guys. So
There's still cliques, but they're a little bit different now, I think. But I'm sure there's still political cliques
yeah,
back there that have their own levels of pull. Somebody on here wanted to know, do you train wrestlers? That's a good question because you do train wrestlers. He wants to be a wrestler or a manager. So good question to ask Mario.
I do, John. Let me answer that in detail for you. So I own Paradise Alley Professional Wrestling, named by Paul Roma, who's my partner, endorsed by Sylvester Stallone on Twitter, by the way. He said, you guys took you know, you took a story out of my page, out of one of my pages. He goes, I wish you the best of luck with it, because of course we all know the movie in 1978, Paradise Alley, was about pro wrestling. So we opened up Paradise Alley Pro Wrestling in 2014. And when you come to Paradise Alley, we're very honest there. And so think of Mario Mancini. I give you a second to think about Mario Mancini. Now think about Paul Roma. So now you thought about Paul Roma. So when you come into Paradise Alley, you start on Monday nights with me. Why? Well, if you thought about me, I'm one of the top 10 losers in pro wrestling history. So who's better to teach you how to bump? No one. I'm going to teach you how to bump because I took a million of them. I'm going to teach you how to hit the ropes, hit the turnbuckles, go through the middle rope, go over top rope, top wrist locks, arm ringers, go behinds, reverse arm bars, full Nelsons, headlocks, headlock takedowns, head scissors. I'm going to teach you everything you need to know to a certain point. Then when I feel you're ready, from Monday and Tuesday nights, you go to Wednesdays and Saturdays. That's the advanced class to Paul Roma. Roma's going to teach you, leapfrogs, drop kicks, flying body presses, climbing the ropes, psychology, punches, kicks, suplexes, all kinds of stuff. Monkey flips, all kinds of things. So we're true to who we really are at Paradise Alley. Well, I was a jobber and Roma was over. So that's the way you run it. And it works really well. It's worked well this past 9 years. And we give each other a hard time. I'm like, who showed you how to do that? Say Mario. I'll go, okay, well, no. Or somebody from my class will be almost ready to go, and they'll start going to Roma's class, but still come back to mine. And I'll go, wait, well, where'd you learn that? Oh, Roma showed this on Wednesday. I have to get Roma on the phone and go, they lying to me, or did you show them? No, I did. No, it could be done the other way, like you said. We always work it out, we always back each other up, and it works very well that way. So, yes. The other instructor is Paul Perez, who was in the WWE from 88 to 93. And Big Steve Tracy, who was there briefly as Dave Paradise, a really good wrestler. The only problem with Big Steve was, hence the name, he was 6'4", 275, and he had no politics or anything like that. He wasn't bloodborne, so he also was a jobber. The problem was that he was doing jobs for guys a lot smaller than him, like Paul Orndorff and those guys that were tiny compared to him. It didn't look that great, so he wasn't there that long. But excellent wrestler, Big Steve. So those are the four partners at Paradise Alley at 662 Co Avenue in East Haven. If you look it up, I think Roma's phone number is on there, and you can call him or inbox him on Facebook if you're interested. Or if you live in the tri-state area, come down on a Monday night at 6:30. I'll be there. You'll walk through the door, and I'll be sitting right there, and I'll take you in. And first thing I'll teach you is the squat bump. And after that squat bump, you're going to know whether you want to do this or not, because it's not horseshoes. It's not badminton. It hurts. You'll know it hurts.
Yeah, it definitely does. And some opponents are easier than others. But you talk about Paradise Alley. Paradise Valley, Arizona is the home of superstar Billy Graham, who isn't in very good health these days. He's been fighting for his life for months now. He's got a GoFundMe going. Did you encounter him at all through your various?
I did, Hannibal. I was, when he did that the karate. He was there in the gi, doing all.
That was over, though. Believe it or not, it sold out Madison Square Garden. As dumb as it was.
And Billy was a good guy. He was.
God does not want us.
Oh, listen, Hannibal. That's why I don't like doing it on my phone. I like doing it on the laptop.
We're happy you're still alive.
But yeah, Billy Graham was a good guy. I did get an opportunity to talk to him a few times and he never said to me what was on, what he said on YouTube, which I was dying, and I was agreeing with him. But because unless you're Bret Hart or Ted DiBiase or Kurt Hennig, who's bloodborne in the business, we were all fans. We loved pro wrestling so much. We loved it so intensely that we turned to ourselves and said, hey, I want to do it. I love this so much. I want to do it. I don't want to watch it on TV anymore. I want to be in the TV. I want to do this. And which was the first thing I did when, I don't know why I did this to myself, but July 31st, 1984, when I was in Poughkeepsie, I was in the corner of the ring, and I looked over at the camera. The guy, he was on this big seated moving thing, and the light wasn't on yet. And I was waiting the light to come on for Howard Finkel to announce me. And I'm looking, and I said to myself, I don't know why I did this to myself, because it made me even that more nervous. I said, I'm inside the TV. Some other kid is sitting cross-legged on the floor watching wrestling like I used to. And now, because I just 6 weeks prior to that, I turned 18. 6 weeks before that, I was just 17 years old. So now I'm like, I'm in the TV. I'm inside the TV. So anyway, we all started out as fans, and I got an opportunity to talk to Billy a couple times, have some laughs with him, because I wanted to ask him about Bruno. Because Bruno Sammartino is the reason why I broke into the wrestling business. And I thank the Lord above that I had the opportunity to spill my guts to Bruno Sammartino one night for like over an hour. And he looked at me at the end. He goes, Mancini, I wish you were my son. And I went, oh my God. Bruno said that to me because he was everything to me. Bruno Sammartino was my whole world. He was my whole world. So I did get to talk to Billy, but what makes it even more interesting is if you go on YouTube and watch the shoot interview with superstar Billy Graham. And I love Bob Backlund. Bob Backlund's very unoffensive. I like Bob. But in Philadelphia, I think it was. I think it was in Philly, and then the next night or the next week, the year was up, and Superstar had to drop the belt to Backlund, and he was finishing up his steel cage run with Bruno for the year. And he said to Bruno, he goes, I can't believe I have to drop this belt to Bob Backlund. He goes, I can't believe I have to do this. And he looked at Bruno and said, I'm going to throw you out of the cage. I'm going to throw you out of the cage. And Bruno said, oh, Billy, please don't do that. Please don't do that. He goes, I'm so tired. Don't do that. He goes, that'll screw everything up. You can't work with Backlund for the strap. He goes, that'll screw the whole thing up if I throw you out of the cage. He goes, don't do it, Billy. Don't do that. He goes, stop. Don't even think of that. And Billy Graham said, similarly, I think I could have did the Hulkamania run. It would have been something different. Obviously, it wouldn't have been called Hulkamania. But he said, I think I could have made that run and been as popular. And I'm sitting there scratching my head, and I'm going, I think he could have. Because don't forget, he had 24-inch pythons, right? So I think he could have. I think he could have. I
Yeah,
really
his arms were bigger than Hogan's, I think, legitimately, and they wouldn't let him turn face in WWE. But you could hear that promo where he says it's pandemonium, and you could see people throwing stuff. You could hear people cheering him, booing him, and it really is pandemonium. But they just wouldn't run with him as a face.
no. I really think he could have done that. I think he had the physique. I think he had the mic skills. I think he could have done it. I really do. I really do think he could have done it. I don't listen, I like Terry. Um it's sad that as time goes on, less and less people are like him. But I like Terry. He never did anything to me, except almost get me arrested in Rhode Island, which I'm still pissed at him for. But
Recently or in the 80s?
no, a few years ago, Joe Bruin got a hold of me, and he said, "Listen, Hogan's coming to a gym in Rhode Island to do some signings. You think you can come up and see if he'll do the New England Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame?" And I went, "Yeah." He said, "You know him that well?" I went, "Yeah." So we go up there, and I really don't want to stand in that line, but I did. So as I grew closer, I saw Jimmy Hart, and I yelled out, "Jimmy!" And he turned his head. "Oh, Mario, how you doing, baby? How you doing, baby? Give him a hug. How you doing, baby? Haven't seen you in a while. How you doing, man? Hey." I said, "Listen, I just got to talk to the champ for a couple." "Yeah, baby, yeah, don't worry about it." Blah, blah, blah. So we finally get up there, and Terry's not even greeting people personally. He's got an assistant with him. He's signing autographs on an 8x10 and just shoveling over to her. And as people come and go, "Hey, how you doing?" "Here's your 8x10, thanks. Here's your 8x10, thanks." Because I understand there were 1,000 people in line. I get it. So I get up there. I go, "Hey, champ, what's going on?" And he looks up. He goes, "Oh, Eminem, how you doing?" I go, "Good, brother. I just got to ask you a question." He goes, "Shoot." I said, "I got Joe Bruno over here." Guy comes over. You got to move it along. I go, "Well, I just got to talk to him for a minute. That's all." And Joe Burton goes, "It's Mario Mancini." He goes, "Yeah, he's got to move it along." I go, "Yeah, I know the guy 30 years. I just got to talk to him for a minute." "Yeah, you got to move along." And Terry just kept signing and signing and signing and signing. I said, "Will you give me 1 minute?" You start pushing me. So I left, and I looked back at Jimmy, and Jimmy's like, "Ooh." So believe it or not, Hannibal, that has happened to little piddly Mario Mancini. That has happened. And a friend of mine was at the convention, and I spotted him, and I picked him out of the line while people were coming up to me. And I said, "Stand behind me and talk in my ear. Get out of the line. Talk to me in my ear. I'll talk to you. I won't be able to look at you, but stand behind me. Get out of the line." Hogan could have said, "Eminem, get behind me." Anyway, my point is this, and if you agree with me, I don't know if you agree with me, but Hulk Hogan is made up of superstar Billy Graham, Chief Jay Strongbow, and a little bit of Dusty Rhodes. Hogan is not original. Let me tell you something. I want the fans to understand. I'm not talking bad about him. I like Hogan. And again, here's a lowly jobber. Who the hell are you to comment about Hulk Hogan? You might be right. I'm nobody. But I was there for 8 years, from 8 months before WrestleMania 1. So give me a little break. Don't jump all over me and all these negative comments and everything. I know my position in the wrestling business. Again, I'm overwhelmed that this is my fourth show on probably the biggest wrestling podcast on social media. I can't even believe I'm doing this. But Hannibal's nice enough to have me on here, right? So if you guys want to do your research, Strongbow is getting the heat on him. Boom, 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 right? All of a sudden, his legs start shaking. His other leg starts shaking. The guy keeps pounding him, right? He starts doing his war dance, right? Gives the guy a couple of knee lifts. The guy gets back up. Strongbow looks at him, stands up straight, starts laying the bad mouth on him, right? Well, he start getting the heat up on Hogan. Getting the heat up on Hogan. Getting the heat up on Hogan. Finally gives him that one last punch. His lips pop out. His eyes bulge out. He goes, and then the guy goes to hit him again. He blocks it. Punch, 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 ropes, leg drop, over. Right? Tied eyes, being colorful. That's superstar Billy Graham. The way he talks, the way he's animated, the way he would move sometimes in the ring, Dusty Rhodes, but mostly Strongbow. If you watch You go on YouTube and watch Strongbow's matches and his comeback, then go to Hogan's match, and you'll say, "Oh, that jobber's right."
Plus, he also took Hogan took pythons and brother from him, and also Billy Graham also did the cup with the
Yep,
ear first and the shirt rip.
you're
I've
right.
seen it.
You're yeah, all right. So that makes it even more superstar Billy Graham than Strongbow. You're right. You're absolutely right. That makes it even more Billy Graham than Strongbow. But
And if you see Billy Graham in Japan from the 80s, he had like the black beard with the white Fu Manchu in Japan before Hogan had it in WCW. So, yeah. One thing I wish Hogan would do is treat Billy Graham better, which he hasn't done. But again, that's not my place. But I know Billy really likes him. So it's just sad that like at the end of his life, Hogan doesn't like call him every once in a while to check
yeah,
in.
I mean, listen, this is the God's honest truth. Roma looked at me, and this is on my daughters. Roma looked at me and he said, "Hey, we got to get together." I go, "What do you want to do?" He goes, "I want to go to Florida." I go, "What do you want to do?" He goes, "We need to go and find Ray. Mario, we need to go and get Ray. We need to get him. We need to straighten him out." After we said that to each other, Hannibal, I think he was dead 3 days later. Swear to God. So I know what you mean. We were going to go down to Florida and look for Ray, for Hercules.
Yeah, that was a really young death, wasn't it? Wasn't he in the early 40s, I
Yeah,
think? 42 maybe ish.
yeah. Another guy. I'd go, "Ray, don't do it." He'd come in the dressing room and go, "Ray, Ray, Ray." I'd shake his hand. I go, "Okay, Ray, hello. Hello, Ray. Ray, don't do it." "Nah, man, I'm not." Just when I thought I was safe, big smack on my back, 5 finger marks. "So how you doing, Mario?" I go, "You son of a bitch. You said you were going to," every time he'd say hello to me, I say, "You said you weren't going to do it. Stop doing Stop doing that." I go, "I'm going to go out to the ring with already 5 finger marks on my back." Ray was a great guy. Funny guy. Great guy.
Did you ever wrestle him?
Oh, I was his debut match.
Oh, how was that?
Oh, well, as I said to him in the dressing room, I said, "That wasn't my fault. That was yours." Because Hannibal, on that rack of a neck breaker, when he goes to get you up, what you do is you put your arm over his shoulder and you kind of try to make your body in a half moon and lean on him, so it's easy for him to get you up. And that's what I did. But he didn't get me up the first time. He got me up the second time. If you watch the match on YouTube, it took him 2 times to get me up. And he's Hercules. So I said to him, "Listen, that wasn't my fault." It wasn't my fault. That was yours. No, everything was good. Everything was fine. So, yeah, it was his debut match.
And as far as Bruno, I recently put a retro interview with Bruno that my friend John Paz had done with him just before he died. And Bruno said in it that he may have not has been as popular everywhere as Hogan, but in Madison Square Garden, Philadelphia, and Boston, he was more popular than Hogan as far as crowd reactions in the buildings. You experienced some of that. What did you think?
Well, yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's not fair because, what was it, Hannibal? When Bruno was champion, the WWF went from Maryland to Maine. They went from Maryland to Maine. It was all East Coast. So, that's what Vince Sr., that was his territory. And then when Vince Jr. came in, he started going all over the country. And Bruno really, unless he got leased out, and there were times that happened, that didn't happen. So in Bruno's day, yeah, he's right. And let's not forget something either. You know, The only reason why that Zbyszko and Sammartino angle came to be is because Backlund couldn't sell out the Garden. So Bruno can. Bruno sold out everywhere he went. So yeah, I mean, I would, for the time, I'd say he was more popular than Hogan. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, listen, Hulk Hogan revolutionized the business. Let's face it. They're not gonna take anything away from the guy. Hogan turned wrestling into entertainment. He turned wrestling into mainstream Hollywood. That's what he did. That's what he did. I watched it with my own eyes. I was there. The floodgates opened up. Tina Turner, Liberace, Muhammad Ali, Billy Martin, Cyndi Lauper. You know what I mean? All this rock and wrestling with Albano and Hulkamania and the whole 9 yards. I mean, it all exploded. It was all right there. It was very exciting to see that happen. I wouldn't have traded it for the world, except when S.D. Jones taught Cyndi Lauper a lesson. Because Cyndi would come down in the dressing room with Poughkeepsie unannounced, and guys are getting dressed, getting out of the shower. She's just walking in with her husband, just blah blah blah. And kayfabe was still alive. And we didn't care if it was Cyndi Lauper. We didn't care who it was. We didn't want anybody to know our business. So S.D. Jones was well endowed, to say the least. He goes, I'll get her the next time she comes down. So he had the towel around her, and she comes in, hi, how are you? And S.D. waits until she gets a little closer, and he dropped that towel. Oh, my God. Yeah. She was cautious every time after that, coming into the dressing room. With I think her husband's last name was Wolf or something.
David Wolf.
David Wolf would come down with her husband all the time, but SD took care of that.
I guess that was before Virgil was around.
Oh, well, actually, I think Mike was there as Mike Jones, the jobber. But yeah, Mike is in his own category. He takes the cake. Mike, he's in his own category. Nobody can compare to that. So
interesting. Somebody wants to know your thoughts on David Sammartino throwing the match to Ron Shaw. I've heard Ron talking about it. It doesn't look like a shoot to me. It looks like David threw the match where Ron tries to make it sound like it was a shoot, but I watched it. Like, you can't fool me on that.
Yeah, the last thing I want to do is lose this signal. So give me 2 seconds to get my charger here.
Yeah, sure, no problem, guys. And anyone that has questions for Mario, there's still time. I'll get a few more in. I know there's some on here I haven't asked, and he's back.
So
how many mouthfuls of cheesecake did you eat during that time?
Oh, none.
You're making me just want to shove some of those down that you keep posting.
Oh yeah, people kill me because they're like, "Oh man, how much cheesecake do you eat?" I go, "None. I make these cheesecakes for other people. What do you think? I'm going to give them a cheesecake with a piece missing?" I go, "Sorry, I make them for other people. They're whole when I give them away. I only eat one cheesecake a year, and that's at Christmas, and it's my favorite cheesecake, and it's an eggnog cheesecake with eggnog. I make eggnog whipped cream. That's the only piece of cheesecake I have all year. But this is going to be pretty long-winded. And Hannibal, you have to stop me if I
Before we get into the long-winded, your friend's making a joke for you there, or maybe it's not a joke.
Yeah, what, Big Daddy? What, my stomach? My stomach is well endowed. Yeah. God kind of left me at the end of the line. I think he gave me the parts that were left over and Frankensteined it together for me. So
I don't know if I understand that
I
well
don't
or not.
understand it either, but
But I can tell you one thing: your cheesecakes look good, and I'm a cheesecake fan.
wow, listen, man, I ship. So you just name it. Um, did you say
Oh,
something about?
sorry, we distracted ourselves from Ron Shaw, David
Well,
Sammartino.
here you got to stop me if I told this story already because
You
I don't
did.
want to
You
tell.
didn't. We
I don't
had
want to
Ron
tell it
Shaw
again.
on.
For some reason, first of all, I had a discussion with David Sammartino because I stuck my nose in. Because let's face it, I love my father. Wouldn't want another father. I had a great father. I miss him dearly. He's the best father. But I was still jealous. I was still jealous. So I started the conversation with David with, this is one separate conversation. I said, when I was a mark, and I joked with him, I go, I still am a mark, right? I opened up a wrestling magazine and it said, introducing Bruno Sammartino Jr. Why didn't you run with that? Are you out of your mind? Why didn't you run with that? I would have. No. I wanted my real name. Why? He didn't teach me anything. All he did was beat the hell out of me my whole life. And when I had this over an hour conversation with Bruno, I had told him this. And I looked out, and Bruno looked at me and he said, got kicked out of every school he went to. Every school he went to. What was I supposed to do, Mario? At some point, what are you supposed to do? So I whacked him out. Yeah. Got kicked out of every school he went to. Oh, okay. Italian father. Italian. I'm Italian. It's not a work. Mancini's my mother's maiden name. That's why I took it. Before she married my father, she was Gloria Mancini. Mancini's a real family name. So he said he didn't teach me anything. Larry Zbyszko taught me how to work. Now, my father never showed me a hammerlock. Zbyszko taught me how to work. I'm like, okay. That was a separate conversation. For some reason, and I have such a good memory, I wish I could remember, but I can't. For some reason, Les Thornton picked me up at my front door in Milford. Now, what the setup was, why they picked me up there, how that came about, I can't remember. So I'm at my front door because I don't want to make them wait. So I'm at my front door waiting for them to pull up. And Les pulls up and David's in the back. I get in the car. David's in the back seat. I put my stuff in the trunk. I sit in the front seat. I shake Les's hand. Reach in the back, shake David's hand. We drive away. Les gets up on the highway. He's driving. And he's giving me a side eye. I'm like, what's up, David? Nothing. Seem upset. Yeah. Well, what's wrong? You heard what Neidhart did last night? I go, no. Yeah, he went over on my finish. I go, so what? He goes, that's my finish. He's not supposed to use that. That's mine. I go, David, who cares? So what? It was a house show. It was TV. It was a house show. So what? You went over on a power slam. So what? Bullshit. I'm talking to Vince when we get to Poughkeepsie. I said, David, don't lose your shit. I mean, where else are you gonna get a job like this? I don't care. We go to Poughkeepsie. I take a seat, say hello to the chief, as usual. And Vince is there in his canary yellow jacket, and I see David's hands are flailing around, and Vince is talking back and forth with him, and his hands are flailing around, and it doesn't look like anything's getting done, to be honest with you. So David gets done talking, and he picks up his bag and walks by a bunch of guys and starts saying goodbye. And he walks up to Les and I and says, "Take care, guys." And I never saw his face again. Ever.
So was that before or after Ron Shaw?
I don't want to say Hannibal, because the fans are so knowledgeable. They're so good. They're such good wrestling historians that I don't want to say the wrong thing, because they really get on me if they think I am. They get on me hard. So I don't know if that was before, or it had to be before, because he walked out that night, right? I think. Pretty sure. Don't kill me for it.
Yeah, I don't know if he would have come back after that Ron Shaw thing. That was pretty interesting. I'd never heard of it until I saw Ron Shaw talk about it in the interview.
Yeah.
It didn't look like a real fight at any point in that. It just looked like David surprised everybody by throwing the match. So
Yeah.
he could have, if he had tried, he could have got over. And as you said, if he had run on off of Bruno's coattails, he could have made a lot of money. But I don't know what he's done in his real life. But
I don't know. All I know is this: I was 17 years old, and I was ripe. It was my 8th or 9th month in the wrestling school, and I was doing a match, and I was doing uppercuts in the corner, and I threw the guy in and gave him a kick to the abdominal, and Tony Altomar stopped, and he goes, "What are you doing? What are you doing?" I said, I'm working." He goes, that's Bruno. You're working like Bruno Sammartino. I go, "Yeah." He goes, you can't do that. I go, "Why not?" Listen to this, gem. He goes, "Well, if you're going to do that, Bruno's not going to like you, because, that's his stuff." I said, "Well, it's in honor of him." He goes, "He's not going to look at it that way. It's going to be really mad. In fact, let me go over the phone and call Bruno right now and tell him what you're doing." I get out of the ring. "Tony, please, please." And now he's laughing his ass off inside. I'm a mark. Please don't call Bruno, please. Please. Oh, he's going to hate you. No, don't, please don't call Bruno. Please don't do that. Don't call Bruno, please. You going to do that again? I go, no, I won't do it again. I won't do, don't call Bruno. Don't, please. AJ Petrucci will tell you to your face, Tony Altomar said to us, "You guys are friends and you're sparring. When you become a pro, you're really going to have to apply this stuff and fight for your life." So when I got to Poughkeepsie, and Strongbow looked at me and said, "Go talk to Valentine." I said, "What am I talking to Valentine for? I'm wrestling him, and I'm going to beat him." I go, "Is this for the Intercontinental title? Is there a non-title match?" And he glared over at Tony Altomar. Tony Altomar did one of these. I said, "Chief, he's not getting that figure 4 on me. I promise you that." Look over at Tony Altomar. Tony puts his arm around me. "Listen, kid." Talk just like Mickey. Didn't look a thing like him. Talked just like him. Yeah. Listen, go talk to Valentine. I go, what? He goes, go talk to him. I said, okay. So I go walking up to Valentine. I go, Mario Mancini. He looks up. He's lacing his boots. He looks up. Yeah. I said, I'm wrestling you. Yeah. How long you been working? I go, my first professional wrestling match. He sounded like Lurch from the Adams Family. He goes, listen, when I slap that figure 4 on you, keep your legs like a wet noodle. The stiffer you keep your legs, you're going to hurt yourself. I'm not going to hurt you. You're going to hurt you. So they have to be really loose. And in a split second, I said to myself, this is fixed. This is rigged. This is fixed. I have to lose. Oh, fight this guy. In retrospect, Valentine would have killed me.
It's funny that he talked like that then, and that's still how he talks now as an old man, but he talked like an old man in his 20s or 30s.
Yeah, listen, man, I love Hammer, and he loves me. And he sees me, he gets a big smile on his face. So I said, do I get to do anything? He goes, you want to come back? I go, yeah. He goes, I'm going to give you a comeback. When you submit to the figure 4 and the bell rings, get off the canvas and come back to the dressing room. And I went, okay. All right. That was my comeback, Hannibal. That's my comeback. So, yeah.
Joseph has a question here. I know Paul's diet isn't cheesecakes. He wants to know, you've mentioned before applesauce and tuna fish. Does he teach nutrition at the wrestling school, or does he advise people on nutrition?
Roma's very kind. He's a very kind man. And I know I'm saying that in a biased way because he's been my brother for 39 years. Next year, our 40th year. And I know, the Alex Wright thing, and Roma's outspoken, and people don't know Paul Roma and they don't understand Paul Roma. I do. If Paul Roma looks at me and says, you do that again, I'm going to kick your teeth in. That means that he loves me. You know what I mean? That means he gives a shit to say that to me. The problem is when Roma doesn't talk to you at all or communicate with you at all, that's when you really have a problem. So no matter what comes out of his mouth, I understand him because I have so many years with him. But for the fans and everything, and Roma is to tell it like it is. He has no filter. He tells the way it is. He's a very kind guy, so he will teach about nutrition if the students ask him. Don't forget, Paul Roma came from bodybuilding. And it's only because of the politics of bodybuilding where he clearly saw that he wiped the map with somebody who won. And it was stunning that this person won. He knew that, it was, he knew it was politics. So he gets out of there and he goes, tries out for the New York Jets, and the Jets love him. I mean, he's 25 years old. He's fast as lightning on his feet, strong. The Jets are like, whoa. So he gets in the dressing room, in a locker room, and Gastineau says something a little off. Roma goes after Gastineau. I'm going to kick the shit out of you. So the Jets went, well, maybe he's not going to work out. And so he decided to become a professional wrestler. So Roma is very his knowledge is very vast of nutrition. I mean, he's done it a few times in my life. He's taken 30, 40 pounds off of me. I'll tell you a really funny story, which is embarrassing. But I don't care about embarrassing myself. So I go to Las Vegas. We're working at UNLV, and Hannibal, the 3 hours go up on the board. Now I had separated my AC joint in my left shoulder 6 weeks before that. So I look up 3 hours on the board, and I go up to Strongbow and I go, Chief, I'm not on the board. Yeah, you're not working. I go, Chief, I didn't fly all the way to Las Vegas not to work. I go, tomorrow's Arizona. Well, am I not going to work in Arizona either? No. I go, what's going on? He goes, Caesar said you got too fat. Oh, unfortunately, in my life, Hannibal, I can be 235 and I can be 260 3 weeks later. So I wasn't working out with this shoulder or anything, but I kept eating. So I went crying to Roma. Oh, man, I can't work. I can't work. I goes, what do you mean you can't work? Why can't you go? I go, Caesar said, for those that don't know, Caesar's Vince McMahon. So he goes, Caesar said I got too fat. He goes, hey, you son of a bitch. How many times did I tell you? How many times do I have to tell you what you eat? Disgusting. Help me. Help me. Okay. So we get home. It's a Friday. I go, Roma, I got to take off. Wait really quick. He goes, okay. You're going to eat a can of tuna fish and water for breakfast, lunch, and dinner for 3 days. 7:00 on Sunday night, which was the third day. I said, Roma, please, I'm going to pass out. Please. You son of a bitch. Son of a bitch. What do you mean you're going to pass out? You have a piece of dry wheat toast and it better taste like a steak. Boom. He hangs up the phone. I lost 14 pounds in 3 days. And I went on to lose another 20. And I went back to the TV in 3 weeks. And Strongbow looked, and I went up to Vince, and Vince looked, and I said, Vince, can I work? And he went, yeah. I went, so Roma will eat 8 egg whites in the morning with nonstick spray. There's no butter, no oil. He will tell a waitress, no butter, no oil. Roma will have 2 pieces of dry wheat toast with that. He'll eat tuna fish and applesauce. Every day of his life to this day, he eats salmon for lunch. Billy eats a salmon. I was in the car with him, and I looked over at him, and I said, you have to tell me the secret. How do you do it? How do you do it, Roma? You're Italian. All Italian. How come you didn't grow up like me? Because as my ex-wife would brutally tell me, that the difference is you live to eat, people eat to live. And that's the way the Italians grew. I mean, my father would be making Sunday breakfast, sausage, bacon, eggs, pancakes. He'd have Danish on the table. While he was doing that, he was stirring the sauce for the macaroni in the afternoon with the meatballs already. 8:30 in the morning, he's got sauce going. Roman didn't grow up that way. In fact, Roma's father, God bless him, may he rest in peace, was a pretty real fit guy. And he was no one to trifle with, Roma's father. So I said, what's the secret? He said, I like bland food. I said, what? He goes, I like bland food. I go, what human being likes bland food? Who likes that? Who doesn't like to have a taste? Who eats bland food? Who does that? Roma. Listen, Roma lived with me for a little while. You guys stay right here.
Is anyone else getting hungry hearing about his father's macaroni sauce and breakfast? Because I sure am. By the way, the Barry Harwitz is appearing live on the Great North Wrestling podcast this Sunday night, March 20th, as Mario Mancini comes back.
This is still in my cabinet. This is still in my cabinet. You asked me what Paul Roma eats. I showed you.
I don't blame you for that. Now, as we wrap it up here, you recently did an interview with the Dublin Destroyer on our friend Maurice's Cheap Heat channel for St. Patrick's Day tomorrow. I'm interviewing him. You have any thoughts on him? Did you ever run into him during your run?
Yeah. We were in the dressing room together. I'll tell you what, hell of a guy. What a gentleman. Fantastic individual. Did a hell of a lot more than I did. Not only did he do a hell of a lot more than I did, he's got Hollywood behind him, this guy. You're gonna have a chock full of stuff to talk to him about. I mean, he's done movies, he's done TV, he's done a lot. And you know what? He got robbed. I mean, I could look back and go, gee, I wish I had a lot, I wish I had a push. But listen, I wasn't 6'4". I was 5'11" with my wrestling boots on. I wasn't 6'4". I mean, and he was a good worker, and he's a hell of a guy. He really is, a real gentleman, and he should have got a lot out of the business, more than what he got out of it. He should have got a lot more out of it. He should have got a push. He really should have. They could have done a lot with him. He's got a huge personality. He's just a great guy. You're gonna have a good time with him. But Hannibal, I really wanted to talk about something tonight we're not going to be able to get to, which I find absolutely ludicrous. And I would really like to come on again and talk about this. And I can't believe it's a serious consideration. And I want to leave the fans and you with this to think about, if I could come on again in the future. And they're actually considering gambling on professional wrestling. Gambling on professional wrestling. I don't know how that's possible. And you know what, Hannibal? They say they're going to give the results to the same people that do the Academy Awards. It's going to be in a sealed envelope. That's not going to make a difference. That's not, because somebody knows the finish. And you could call me up and go, Mario, come on, it's me, man. I'll kayfabe it. What's the finish? And you call and go, yeah, 500,000 on John Cena. How are they going to control that? Anyway, that's something for another show. It's boggling my mind.
Well, Vince is so trustworthy. He's never had any scandals, and neither has Paul Heyman and Bruce Pritchard. You could trust him with information like that. Triple H, who cheated on China with his wife. These are all people that would never do such things.
Crazy, man. It's crazy. I really don't know. I would like the fans' input on how they think something like this is really going to work. I would think there would be a cap on what you can bet. There has to be a cap. I understand from my students at Paradise Alley that it's already going on, but you can't bet on the finishes. There's bets like if they're going to use a chair, or they're going to use a particular move or something like that. But I Yeah.
Yeah, in Colorado, apparently. I don't know. I don't think you can bet on the They're saying it's only going to be the big matches like Roman Reigns against Cody Rhodes, for instance.
But Hannibal, you know as well as I do, okay? If if John Doe and Joe Doe are working against each other, and John Doe kicks out of Joe Doe's finish, well, you know who's going over. Or if there's 4 false finishes and he kicks out all 4 of them, you know who's going over. The guy who's kicking out, he's going over. You know what I mean? So unless they pull a Sabida and they say what the finish is, and a minute before the guys go out, they change the finish. They switch it last minute in case the word got out. The person who laid heavy money is going to get screwed. I don't know how. I don't know how they're going to do it. I don't, but that's for another show.
Yeah, there's a lot of complications, but before you go for this time, why don't you share where they can follow you and find out more information about your
Well,
school?
as I always say, and fans have taken me up on it, and that's fantastic. I'm on Facebook. If you friend request me, and if you inbox me and say, "Hey Mario, saw you on Hannibal," boop, I'll accept your friend request. Because if you anybody who friend requests me, especially these really smoking hot women, and I scroll down and I don't see, there's no friends in common, I don't accept it. Because it's somebody in Nigeria trying to steal my money. So I don't accept any of those, but you have to identify yourself and say, "Sorry, on Hannibal," and I'll accept your friend request. I'm on Instagram. I'm really not a big Twitter, but Brian just sent me a friend request. But I don't really use Twitter a lot. I look at it maybe once a month. Paradise Alley Professional Wrestling.com. You can even look up Paul Roma on Facebook if you're interested in being a wrestler and go, "Hey, I saw Mario on Hannibal. I want to come down and check out Paradise Alley." He'll talk to you. May 6th, we're going to be in New Jersey for the 80s Con. I will be there. All right, bro. I'll get to you in a minute. I'm going to be there at the 80s Con in New Jersey, May 6th. At my table sitting next to me will be Rita Marie Chatterton.
Yeah, I saw that. That's the lady that just got the settlement, the referee. As Piper's going to say goodbye to you as well. But how are you the one that set that up?
I'm the one that said to Rita, you know what I mean? I'll never forget in 1989 when I went to Tony Altomar in the gym and I said, I've had it. I quit. I'm just going to go to the independents or something. I don't want to be with the WWF anymore. I'm done getting the shit knocked out of me. I don't want to do it anymore. He goes, "Did you get the newspaper yesterday?" I said, "Yeah, I got the newspaper." He goes, "You did? Did you read it?" I go, "Yeah, I read it." He goes, "What were the headlines?" And I went, "I don't remember." He goes, "That's what you're going to be if you get off that TV. Yesterday's newspaper. People are going to forget." So I told Rita, I said, "You're still hot. You're hot right now." I go, "You're hot right now. You're news." I said, "Cash in on it. People want to see you. People come to a wrestling convention. Sit there, sign autographs. You're the first female referee ever in the history of the WWE. Come and do it." And she said, I called Scott Wilder. Scott Wilder got a hold of her, and we will all be there under Scott Wilder Promotions.
Very
Scott,
good.
Scott's
He's a
laughing.
good guy. I've met him a few times and
Scott's
met
laughing.
him at various conventions.
Yeah,
Good guy.
yeah.
What,
He's laughing right now.
one of these days you can send a cheesecake and I'll eat it during an interview.
Listen, all you need to do is supply me with an address. I freeze it, I wrap it, freeze it, and I ship it out.
Sounds good, but May 6th, we got something going on here too in Canada that I won't be eating any cheesecake cake until that's over. But I'll
Well,
let you.
good, man. Nice poster.
Thanks. I'll let you close this off with however you want. Thanks again for coming on, and have a great night.
Thanks, Hannibal. Guys, what can I say? Thank you again. I'm humbled by coming on the show with so many people that watch it, and I enjoy coming on here. Hope Hannibal has me on here again. I really enjoy it. I enjoy talking to all of you. And do me a favor, my Irish friends. Have a safe day tomorrow, and be very careful. Please, no one drive drunk. Please. Very dangerous when St. Patrick's Day is on a Friday. So please be careful, drink responsibly, and get home safely. Until next time, I'll see you guys.
Thank you for watching the Hannibal TV. Please like this video if you enjoyed it, and click